Welcome to the Freedom Finders podcast. I'm Timothy, your host and a Christian financial coach, helping young believers just like you break free from financial struggle and find true freedom by helping them become wise with money. My question today is, why do so many young Christians feel broke? Why do so many young Christians feel broke? Why do they struggle to build wealth? What is causing all of this? I found a statistic that I found very interesting, and I'd like to share it with you guys and gals. Um, I I pulled this from an article, and I'm going to share it in the link in the description below, because I can't remember the name of it right now exactly. But it was rather fascinating. Let me just go ahead and share a quote of it, or actually, it was a summary of a quote that an AI software made of it, but I double checked it's correct with its resources. Anyways, here you go. The average person's income has increased significantly over the past 40 years. However, the cost of living has also risen. This means that while the average income has grown, the cost of living has increased even more, resulting in a situation where the overall cost of living has become significantly higher. End quote. So, we young Christians, besides being a Christian, honestly, just in the world, the economy that we are in today, we are dealing with some setbacks. We are dealing with some financial difficulty. Financially or statistically speaking, things are a decent bit harder than they were for our parents and our grandparents. But I do not believe that is the true reason as to why many young Christians feel broke. I believe this is easy to fall into a victim mindset because of this. But I believe the real answer is simply not planning properly, not being diligent with our resources that God has given us. Um, because He's promised prosperity through. I'm not trying to sit here and sound like one of your typical prosperity preachers, but He has promised prosperity as long as we follow and obey Him. The main thing is, can we follow and obey? Um, and so I'll be getting into that in a little bit. I'm going to be sharing some more stuff, but by the end of this episode, you'll understand what financial freedom really means from a biblical perspective, what it looks like for us young Christians, and how to take faithful steps towards creating that wealthy and biblically wise future for yourself. And to start off, I like to start with a story. I'm going to share kind of a 10-year vision that I have created for myself. So I use this little app. Actually, it's a website, and in there, I've created a 10-year vision for myself. And I'm going to connect this to how this is my financial freedom and that you have your own somewhere because it's not the same as mine. Um, and so 10 years from now, I plan on my business making 7 to 8 figures a year. 10 years from now, I plan on traveling with my wife. I plan on being able to give generously to my friends, my family, and being capable of spending time with them and giving to them uh, in moments of hardship. All of our family and friends are struggling in some sort of way. And so being able to take care of them, that's part of my 10-year future, 10-year vision. And um sorry, I lost track of something. Uh just giving to charities. I feel very passionate about giving to missionaries who are traveling across country, not across country, across the world as they share the gospel, and simply being a much better example of Jesus than I am now. Much better example of Christ. And so that is roughly my 10-year vision for my future. Of course, it's more detailed than that. And some things I didn't mention because I didn't think they were too important to share. Um, so that's my 10-year future. And I want to say you have your 10-year future and you need to write it down and cast this vision because your financial freedom is in that future. We all are here looking for financial freedom. We're looking for a way to, some of us, a way to break out of debt, break out of financial bondage. And I gotta say, it's in that future. I don't have this verse shared in my notes, but there is a verse in Proverbs that says, I believe it's in Proverbs. I know it's in there. I know it's in the Bible. So go and double check me. But God says, where the people have no vision, the people will perish. And so that's really, really important that we have vision, a plan for our future, a goal that we must strive for. Um, and so I gotta say, what that would probably, what fulfilling that vision for me would be simply awesome. It would be amazing. I'm sure we know that. And for those of you who are maybe thinking, "Oh, I don't know about this. I can't do that." It's going to be boring. It's going to be dull. It's going to be no fun. I just want to tell you from my personal experience that that chasing this vision, getting up and working every day towards that vision has been very fun, has been very fulfilling. So I just want to share that so you understand that it's uh it's not boring, it's not dull. Being righteous to God is very fulfilling. And so again, that is my financial freedom. Being successful in business, traveling with my wife, and being generous with my money towards my friends and family. That is my financial freedom. Yours does not look the same. So I want to ask you this this wasn't much of a story, but using based off of my vision, what is your 10-year vision? Not everybody is going to start a business. Not everybody is going to want to give to missionaries like I do. Not, I mean, and we all have different struggles that will definitely shape how we live. And so, what is your 10-year vision? What will it look like? I'll try to share a link in the description. If I forget, just feel free to comment for 10-year future, and I'll be sure to share in the comments section or something. If I forget, I'll try not to forget. But yeah, that is that. Now I want to move on to kind of what I call a mini sermon. And here's the scripture for this episode. Matthew 6, verse 21 says, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? For our finances, treasure. It's funny how finances are connected to treasure. Um, it means our financial freedom is found in God. God's has what we need, what we desire. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. We have to make sure that our treasure, our let me change this word treasure. We have to make sure our value is in God. So putting your value in God, there our hearts will be also. And frankly, who would we want to safeguard our values, our treasure, more than God? He wants to hold on to that stuff for us. And so by putting it in God, I didn't mean to get so extremely biblical. But I'll be sharing some practical tips on how to actually find this financial freedom in a minute. Um, so how do we put our treasure? How do we put our values in God so that way our heart may be right, so that our finances may be right? God emphasizes on stewardship. That is, financially speaking, that is being a wise manager with our money, but that also involves our relationships with our friends, family, community. So it goes further than just the cash that you have in your wallet. This means contentment. This means appreciating what you already have. Uh, if you're listening to this podcast, it means you woke up this morning and you are still breathing. Something thousands of people woke up this morning and realized they didn't. They're gone. And so I'm not trying to get hard, but I'm just trying to paint that picture that you woke up this morning. So that's something to appreciate. And we have so much more to appreciate beyond that as well. God calls us to be generous. Uh, Many times, there's a verse in the Bible. It says something along the lines of that who waters will therefore be watered. And what that means is where you give to God or give to others, where you are generous, God will give back, and He will actually give back extra. He uh he sees your giving like an investment, and He always seems to make return on, or He always seems to increase the return that comes back. These are kind of the biblical anchors that we need to uh, sit deep with when it comes towards putting our values in God. So hold on to those: stewardship, contentment, and generosity. Um, this kind of, I can't remember what this note's for. Clarity that financial freedom is not about wealth, but about obedience. We may not necessarily become wealthy. You're listening to this, you may not necessarily become a millionaire or a billionaire, but you will become financially stable. You will be able to thrive financially. And it's all through obedience and God, obeying His word. Go read Proverbs, which is full of financial wisdom. This obedience will give us peace, and it will give us margin in our finances towards our mission, uh, that God has given us. God has given all of us a mission, and I believe that mission is hidden in our vision, which is why I say go find your vision. Now, um, yeah, so I'm on time. Now, let's see. Here's the practical teaching steps that I've created for you guys and gals. Um, I have four pillars here, four faith-driven pillars towards financial freedom. I'm going to share these with you. These are a summary of the steps that I have taken on my financial journey, and they are kind of outlined from Dave Ramsey's Seven Baby Steps. If you have heard of Dave Ramsey, he and his Seven Baby Steps, they are very successful, and those are the steps that I took when I started out. And I'm not going to say that his steps are inaccurate, but I can say that, in my opinion, his steps can be there's different paths than the Seven Baby Steps. And so going halfway through it, I realized that my path was a little different, or I believe it should be a little different. His path works if you want to become wealthy for sure. But I kind of combined those two, and I kind of got these new steps in here that I have made, and I believe would be a great help to you fellas. So these steps will help you begin financial freedom. The four pillars of faith-driven financial freedom. To start out, step one. Step one is stability. Stability is to build a buffer and to track spending. Here we are just getting started. Here truly is step one into financial freedom, where the key is to start planning with your finances and to start building a small emergency fund that that acts like a small shield between you and life. If any of y'all are listening to this and have just been deep down in debt or simply have already gone through the pain of not having a plan B when life decides to, throw you some curveballs. People have had broken legs and had to be rushed to the hospital or any other illness. People have gotten into wrecks and had to figure out how to replace their car. This is what I mean. So, building a small emergency fund helps give you a little protection from that. And while, yes, a small emergency fund isn't going to replace your car, it is not going to mend your broken leg back, but it will pay for a decent chunk of that hospital bill. And if your transmission blows or something of the sort, then that small emergency fund can replace your transmission. So that way you don't have to stress out and believe that you're going to fall off the horse at every little step. So this is why it's called stability. We're getting stability under our feet here. The next step is debt freedom, or the next pillar, we call them pillars, or is debt freedom. This one is all about debt, if you can't tell. So this pillar tells us to list debts and choose a payoff method. This one is all about paying off your debt so you become debt free or more or less debt free. If you know anything about Dave Ramsey's Seven Baby Steps, you there's kind of two stages to debt free. There's debt free with and without a home. And so because the home is just such a huge purchase that you can't pay it off in a year or two. It takes longer than that usually. Uh, but debt freedom here is we we're going to pay off our debt, and we do that by using the debt snowball and the power of small wins. The debt snowball is quite fascinating in my opinion. I think it's really cool. But basically, how it works is you can imagine standing on top of a snowy hill in the middle of wintertime. You've made yourself a little snowball and then deciding to roll it down the hill. And what you will find is that that snowball starts to build upon itself as it rolls down the hill, the snowy hill. It starts to build momentum. It starts to build mass. The snowball gets bigger and bigger as it rolls down the hill. Now, what does this mean for our finances? This is I think the word is a metaphor to explain our finances and how we pay off our debts. Basically, paying off from smallest to largest, starting with that small snowball. You could look at that as a small credit card you've been holding on to, the last payment on your car, the, that whatever, that desk that you, or that furniture that you bought at wherever, and just paying that off. And then next is paying off your car kind of thing. That's a few $1,000s, and paying off your home, or so on and so forth. Smallest to largest. And the reason why this works and why it's so recommended, because if you go and check the math, this is not actually the most mathematically sound way of going about this. It's because we are human, we have emotions, we go beyond computer and robotics. We we need small wins. And so that's why I mentioned in here the power of small wins. The debt snowball allows you to eliminate those small debts early on. That builds momentum, not just with the snowball, but with your motivation to get out of debt because you're finding progress. Math would tell us to pay off the debt with the highest interest first, but the debt snowball tells us to pay off the debt with the lowest premium first, not premium, lowest principal first. So that is the second pillar, debt freedom. Now, the third pillar is margin for mission. And this one, this one deviates a little bit from the finances, and that's because I believe so strongly in mission. I believe so strongly in finding your purpose because if you're spending a lot of time that if you hate your job, you're not going to be so concerned about finding financial freedom. You're going to be more concerned about finding a better job. That's the way I see it. So here is simply part of your mission. Uh, we as young Christians is to tithe, is to give 10%. I'm not saying this because I'm affiliated with some church and I get some of your money for tithing or something like that. No, it's not true at all. I say that because that is what God tells us to do, for one. And two, God blesses us for doing that. And actually, three is that God withholds blessings for not obeying the tithe. God doesn't ask for much, but He blesses us abundantly for that. So we gotta tithe. We gotta fund our church. We gotta fund God's mission. That's ultimately what we're doing. Yeah. Now, that's definitely part of your mission. The other part is simply finding your personal mission. Many of us are wired for certain kinds of work, and I want you to find a place that you would enjoy working. I want you to find what your purpose in life is. I remember my life felt like such a slog that I didn't know what to do with my life until I was 19, and then I found financial coaching and started taking the course, doing the training, coaching clients, and now I'm here. But honestly, if I didn't run into that course, I would have found something else. God would have led me somewhere else if it wasn't here. But before that, my point is I didn't have a mission with my life. I was just drifting to wherever the world would take me. And after finding my mission, it really changed everything. I shared my 10-year vision. I shared how much I know I will enjoy it when I finally reach there, and how much I enjoy making progress towards finishing that mission or towards getting to it. Our mission is never truly done until we are gone in glory. But that is pillar three, is to simply tithe, is to be generous with our money, and to find our purpose in life. Because many of you young Christians, I mean, if you're anything like me, you didn't come out of high school and you didn't figure out what you wanted. I got pretty close, but I still didn't figure out what I wanted. And finally, the fourth pillar, which is growth with integrity. After completing the first three pillars, now we can finally start investing long term for our financial well-being. This is where many people will think wealth building. I found it's not uh let's see, I'm making it complicated. For me, my wealth building definitely looks different than yours. That's why I said our financial freedom will look different. Because if I'm just going to be honest, I'm not investing into retirement right now, even though I'm definitely in this step. I'm investing into myself and into my business so that way I can grow that. And after I grow that, I will be investing into retirement. But everyone's not going to start a business. We all need something to fuel. Uh, there's going to be a time when we're not able to work. There's going to be a time where we're just going to want to build up our financial resources for later, for a time that we can help somebody else, for a time that we can't work as much as we used to, for a time that, all for God's mission, all for Him. And so growth with integrity is building, is beginning long-term investing with biblical values. I don't mean invest only into uh, Christian businesses, that kind of thing. I mean, being wise managers of our money, investing well, investing smartly, being consistent, being continuous, uh, not pulling out of the stock market when things look bad and then dumping all of our money in when things look good. That is, honestly, that is a squirrel-like mindset. That is, things are going bad. I'm going to pull my money out. I'm not going to go over it, but it's already been historically proven that those who just keep their money in, make their returns back, whether things get really low, whether they invest when things are at its lowest, or whether they invest when things are at their current highest. It's because things always improve. If you know anything about Warren Buffett, he just says invest. He says invest, invest, invest. Um, I remember hearing a story of, I don't remember exactly when this happened, but a reporter or a news person asked Warren Buffett during some recession and said, Warren Buffett, you lost something, something million or billion of dollars. And Warren Buffett just looked at the guy real and said, I haven't lost anything yet. I haven't lost until I pull that money out. So I don't know why I'm going so deep on investing, but I'm saying that to just some financial tips when it comes to investing. And also for those of you who are like, I want to start a business, I want to get that figured out. You can invest in yourself. You don't have to necessarily financially invest into the world, into, you know, the stock market and stuff like that. You can invest into yourself. You can actually do that now. You can do that before step four. But anyways, that is growth with integrity, long-term investing with biblical values. Um, I just want to say that gaining this financial freedom is very much possible for you. It is extremely possible for you. I'm already on step four, and honestly, if I can do it, you can do it. It's really not that hard, especially for us young Christians, because we're so moldable, we're so flexible, because we are, many of y'all are fresh out of high school or college. Some of y'all listening to this might have been on your own for quite a few years, but you still have plenty of room to change. Some of y'all even have just started families. You're still at the starting point. You still have plenty of time to change. So if you start now, your children are going to see the progress, the huge progress. So just imagine waking up and making decisions based on your calling, not fear. Imagine giving freely, serving boldly, and resting without guilt instead of having to get up on Sunday morning and go work because you didn't plan that far ahead. The emotional payoff, besides those huge financial wins is just peace, purpose. It's comfort in a way. It's growth. I can't think of a better way to explain it right now than it feels amazing. Now, I do have a quick gift for you. I want to share the financial clarity test. This is a bit of an advertisement. I'm sorry. It will help you solve most, if not all, the problems you have in your financial life and make it easier to find financial freedom. Designed to make your financial wealth clear, like a doctor visit, so you know what is working and what is not. And this test gives you feedback with every question, so you can improve your financial health right after finishing the short test, much like a doctor visit, improving your health. Anyways, the link will be in the description. Just click the link, put in your email, and take the test that honestly will only take about 5 minutes to get more clarity and stress less in your financial life. So go take it today. Now then, to recap everything, the financial freedom happens when we submit to God, get intentional with our life, our vision, our mission, and our money. Just actively plan for these things. That is how we will achieve financial freedom. So use those four pillars. So do this and gain peace and purpose like no other in your life. Um, you'll gain so much by doing these steps. You'll become wealthy. You'll genuinely become millionaires, and your life will look so much better. But if you ignore it and money keeps dictating your decisions, you're going to what I call financially struggle. You're going to struggle. Your parents probably struggled, your grandparents probably struggled, and you will struggle if you don't make the change that they didn't commit to. So, thank you for listening. Take the free financial clarity test, links in the description, and please comment below what you liked or disliked about this episode. That helps me improve future episodes so you can enjoy and learn more and learn better. This is the Freedom Finders podcast. I'm Timothy, a Christian financial coach, helping young believers break free from the financial struggle and find true freedom by helping them become wise with money. Thank you for listening, Freedom Finder, and I'll teach you more in the next episode.